good to have you back, buddy. Oh, yeah. Oh. Okay. That's better. Okie dokie. Hello. It's another Wednesday night, which means another episode of Smells Like Wrasslin, episode 13. I am your host, Eric Cologne. Oh, what a week. What a week. What a week. What a week. We had Dynamite tonight as per usual. We also had Battle of the Belts, Rampage, and New Japan, Windy City Riot. A bunch of things happened that day. Number one, I was dog shit sick with COVID, so I didn't end up really watching any of that. The initial stream for Windy City Riot was kind of dog shit, so it took me a while to actually see the event. Two like big worthwhile matches from that card. One was Ishii versus Suzuki. I mean, it was like your typical Ishii versus Suzuki match, but it's so fucking good. Like that kind of match, like, you know, just like if you see these two on a card and they're gonna wrestle each other, just assume you're getting that match. You know, like, I get if you think it's like the same old time match, but I still find it a lot of fun. You know, it's a match only the two of them could deliver. The second match I thought was great, but it had a little bit of a dog shit ending, was Moxley versus Ospreay. I don't know what the fuck that final count was, but it's whatever. I hate shit like that. I hate endings like that, especially to a match that was really, it was so good at that point. You know, I was like, oh fuck, like what's gonna happen? Like I had no idea who was gonna win that, and just for it to end the way that it ended, I was like, you know, it is what it is. Battle of the Belts was okay. Really nothing, really no matches stood out. Actually, we'll probably go over that a little bit. Anywho, we'll just stick with tonight's. But, you know, Battle of the Belts was alright. Sammy won the belt. I could only assume that this is heading towards, like, a heel turn. Like, it just makes sense to turn Sammy. Like, if people are booing him right now, why make him a face? Do an about turn and make him a heel, and it'll be a heel that people hate, and it'll bring attention to the title, and you could build up like a super white meat babyface to take the belt off of Sammy. Maybe even have it be Jungle Boy's first singles belt. You know, Jungle Boy is a total babyface, and if he went after to take it after Sammy, like, people would cheer for Jungle Boy, I would think, especially him having a singles run. Do I think he could carry the belt like, you know, like, I don't know, like, you know, like, should he carry the belt like he was carrying the tag team titles? I don't know. I think they should flush out Jungle Boy a little bit more before you make him have that title. But, like, here's, like, my thing, and I was talking about this with a buddy of mine today. The main problem I have with AEW is that the contenders that, like, there's always one big contender, obviously. Like, the one guy that the fandom thinks is going to be the guy to take the belt. I would say Punk right now is that guy. It's very much a toss-up because I could definitely see them continuing to build Hangman and him continue to win and beat all these guys and eventually lose to MJF. But I honestly feel like it's Punk's, like, Punk has to win. He's the guy who opens up this program every single week. He's the guy who brings in the ratings. He's the most noteworthy guy. They've already set up a basis between him and MJF. MJF's obviously going to be the guy to take the belt from CM Punk. Like, it's obviously going to happen. It's obviously going to have an All Out in Chicago in front of CM Punk's hometown. MJF will have the belt going into Full Gear. That is my full-on prediction. But they've been built, like, Punk is a guy that technically didn't need to be built. He's a guy that could pretty much challenge for the title whenever he wants because he's CM Punk. Guys who could do that are like, Danielson could do that. If Danielson's like, if Danielson challenged Omega for the belt, no one would have disputed that. No one, because he's Bryan fucking Danielson, all right? Punk, the same thing. But what they've been doing week after week is they've been putting Punk in these good matches, building him up as a credible threat to the champion. My problem is that they only do that for one guy in a title reign, it feels like. And it feels like Hangman was not able to shine because he was shining way too bright than any of the contenders that he had. They didn't spend enough time building up these contenders outside of Dark and Elevation and maybe a random one match or two on either Rampage or Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like the push that they've been giving Punk, that's the push you give to a guy like Lance Archer and build him up against Hangman and have him destroy all these guys and have him show that he's a threat. You know what I mean? Like, have people wonder, like, shit, man, they're really pushing Archer. Is he really going to be the guy? You know? Like, I go back to when, like, I was all about Jeff Hardy. And he had the Intercontinental title at the time. He was white hot. Randy Orton had the belt. Randy Orton was super heel. Everyone fucking hated him. He's killed all the legends. He's destroyed everybody that they brought his way. But he couldn't get one over on Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy always got one over on him every week. And Jeff Hardy was in these hard matches. He was fighting Umaga. He was fighting this guy. He was fighting Kane. He was fighting like all the guys that are like serious whoever's, you know? I even think he fought and beat Triple H. Like, he actually beat Triple H in a match, you know what I mean? It was a roll up, but whatever. Like, it got to the point where I'm like, shit, man, they're really pushing Jeff Hardy. I think he might actually be the guy who's going to take it from Orton. Like, that's what made the feud interesting, because I'm like, all right, like, this is something. They need to start building contenders for champions that you have to make them a legitimate threat. And you have to make them a legitimate threat on legitimate television. And let's be honest, Dark and Elevation are not considered, legitimate television. They're the dark matches. They're the undercard. That, it's where the young guys cut their teeth, and you see guys who are on the main shows pad their records. But it's like they have to start building credible challengers. And it's not really Hangman's fault that people haven't been really so rah-rah spoon-bah about his reign, because they haven't really given him any credible people to fight. You know what I mean? Like, Danielson was the only guy who was credible, but they built up Danielson. Like it or not, Danielson was built up. He took Kenny Omega to the limit. He was beating every single person that they put in front of him. He won the tournament. He beat Miro. He was supposed to beat Moxley. It was this whole thing. Like, Danielson was a bigger deal for Hangman because they made Danielson a big deal. But then it was Lance Archer. Lance Archer came out of nowhere. I'm challenging for the belt at the end. I haven't seen this guy in motherfucking weeks. Why do I care that he's challenging for the belt? You know what I mean? You got to start building up. You have to start building up like legitimate challengers. Christian Cage. They built up Christian Cage before Kenny Omega. He had that. He had that undefeated streak. You know what I mean? Like, even though. And then he won the Impact belts. They built him up so credibly that when they put the Impact titles on the line, I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck, man, they might actually have Christian Cage take the belt, a belt off of Kenny. Because Kenny at that point hadn't lost. He was racking up wins and belts everywhere. Christian was the first, notch in that armor. You know what I mean? So, they built up Christian Cage, and when he won, I still go back and watch that match. That was the first Rampage. That crowd exploded when he beat Kenny Omega. You know what I mean? Christian Cage beating Kenny Omega. If you don't do that booking right, they're booing Christian Cage because they beat Kenny fucking 5-star Omega. But no, they cheered Christian Cage. They built him up as a genuine champion, and he beat a genuine heel who honestly it was a really smart booking. It was, obviously it wasn't a clean victory because Christian hit the kill switch on the chair, but it worked. You know what I mean? That's what I need to start seeing in the builds for challengers for a champion. I want to see legitimate builds for guys and legitimate challengers. It shouldn't just be the only legitimate challenger that shows up shouldn't be the guy who's poised to win the title next. It shouldn't be that way, because then what's the point? That you're building up champions and then they're just going back and just beating guys on the regular. The only difference is the belt. You know what I mean? The belt is elevated by the caliber of the matches, and the caliber of the matches is determined by the caliber of the champion and how well built the challenger is. If you don't do that, something's missing. Something's missing. I think that's one of the, I mean, AEW has a laundry list of issues that they have to deal with, and I'm sure Tony Khan is well aware of them. And I do not expect my entire list of issues with AEW to be solved overnight, in a week, in a month. I don't even expect it in a year, because so much could happen. And in terms of like booking and whatnot, and this and that, like I don't expect a lot of these things to be just solved at the wave of a hand. You know what I mean? But like if anybody at fucking AEW is listening, I'm telling you, you will have better champions if you build up and build better challengers. You know what I mean? Even Adam Cole didn't necessarily have that great of a build to where people thought this guy actually might take the belt from Hangman. You know what I thought when they had Adam Cole? I'm like, man, they're going to have Adam Cole lose already? Because there was no fucking way Adam Cole was beating Hangman for the belt. Number one, he hadn't done anything of note. He wasn't really a deserving champion. And I think that's the big thing with AEW. I think that's why their champions are so beloved, because it is a well-deserved victory for the guy that they build. But there's no well-deserved losses for the guys that they lose, that lose their title opportunities. You know what I mean? I feel like it's better done with the TNT belt, because the TNT belt is more of an open challenge kind of belt. So, like, you really don't see people kind of, like, you could build up a guy or you could have a guy challenge, and none of them are outside of the realm of possibility. But I feel like if you're not going to, like, if you're going to use the ranking system, then let's use the ranking system. You know what I mean? Like, make the numbers mean something, because if you're going to use a ranking system and the numbers mean nothing, then the ranking system means nothing. These wins have to be earned. Like, if guys want to go and pad their numbers so it looks like they're doing shit, fine. I don't care. I'm just specifically talking about guys who you are preparing and building towards a championship match. I'm not necessarily guys who win, because I feel like AEW does a fine job building up new champions. The build for Hangman was awesome. Well-deserved. Jon Moxley was fucking destroying everybody, and he beat the entire Inner Circle to do it. Like, he was undefeated. He hadn't lost. His only loss was when he lost the belt to Omega. Well-deserved. You know what I mean? Jericho, he was the first title holder, but, like, they had matches, and he, like, in some way, shape, or form, it was earned. Even though he only had to win one match, he earned it by winning that match. And I think they might have had some tournaments going on or something like that. I'm not really sure, but anywho, like, they need to start building people. They need to start building credible challengers. Otherwise, like, your champion is just going to be boring. Otherwise, like, whoever fights CM Punk is just going to be people are going to be like, why is CM Punk fighting this nobody? That's what you don't want for a CM Punk title run. That is, if you're going to put the belt on CM Punk, do not book his challenges to be like the challenges you book for Hangman. You know what I mean? I mean, Jon Moxley was like an everyman kind of guy, so, like, he was fighting people, like, left and right, you know what I mean? Like, but then again, like, Jon Moxley had the benefit of there only being one other challenger, one other champion for the belt, and it was Jericho. And Jericho was undefeated. He was beating everybody every week. Granted, he had help from the Inner Circle, but he's a heel. Of course he's going to get help like that. But, like, Moxley, like, had the benefit of, there really wasn't an established babyface champion before him. It was just Jericho who was the heel. So they put him in the basic, the everyman matches. You have him fight a giant. One of the first guys who did he fight? One of the first guys, I think it was Lance Archer, was one of his first challengers. They had him fight MJF, which was cool. They had him fight, I think they had him fight Darby. They had him fight Eddie Kingston. He had grudge matches. He had personal matches. Like, they tried to build a personal grudge match between him and Adam Cole, but it really wasn't anything. Like, Hangman was so far out of the elite, for him to have an elite feud was kind of lame, especially since the Bucks didn't want to be involved. Then you had Red Dragon involved, and then, are they or are they not? Like, obviously the split is coming in the Undisputed Elite when Omega comes back. They just keep kind of swirling around storylines with the Elite, just waiting for Kenny to get better. So it's like, I don't know. But, like, do not book CM Punk's title reign like you've booked Hangman's. Build him credible challengers. Build him credible threats. Because we all know the end game is MJF. That's already well booked and well earned and well deserved. When MJF wins that belt, it's going to be his time. You know what I mean? But I mean, they just have to do better on that front. One of many fronts. All right, so here we go. Tonight's card was pretty good. It was a pretty solid episode of Dynamite. Nothing I felt like was a really wow moment, except for the announcement, which kind of already got spoiled because I think that was kind of already leaked by people online in terms of the Super Show between AEW and New Japan. That's finally happening. I'll give you guys more details on it as we go through the show. The night started off with Punk fighting Dustin Rhodes. It was a solid match. You know what I mean? Second week where, Punk's had a little bit of a hard time with a particular move. I think last week's was he slipped on the top rope doing that Frankensteiner. They ended up having to redo that one. This week was, I think he was trying to do like an accordion stretch or something like that. I'm not sure if I have the name of the move correctly, but basically he was trying to like bridge, Dustin over his crossed legs. And just couldn't get him over. I mean, Dustin's a big guy, and he's taller than Punk. So in terms of leverage, that was tough to begin with. So, I say, props for, to Punk for actually giving that a shot. Solid match. Punk ends up winning. Of course he does more of the, discount double check. Like, we get it. Like, it's fine. Like, it doesn't like bother me, like, I guess, but they're really trying to hammer the point home that Punk wants this title shot. And finally, after weeks of him doing this, Hangman comes out and confronts him. They have a stare down. Punk walks away. Like, if there was ever a time to build Hangman and Punk, now's the time. Because Double or Nothing needs a main event. That's obviously going to be a big main event. That's going to be a fantastic match. I quite honestly don't know how they're going to play this. I could see them sticking with Hangman, making him a big babyface. The problem is, I just don't think CM Punk should be a notch on Hangman's belt if you're going to try and do that. CM Punk is too over. He's beating everybody. He beat MJF. I think you give the title to Punk. I think Hangman's had a solid reign. I mean, listen, I know I just went on a rant in terms of the challenges, but that's not to take away from the fact that Hangman is an excellent competitor. He's excellent in the ring. He has a great character. And to be honest, his story was well-earned and well-deserved. That was a story that they were booking since the inception of AEW, and it was a payoff that played out beautifully. But honestly, Punk needs to win. He's the guy. Have him have the summer of Punk. Punk shouldn't, I don't care. Punk doesn't need to have a long reign. I think it adds to the hatred of MJF for MJF to kind of end that before, like, Punk got that extra long reign. You know what I mean? He's distanced himself, you know what I noticed? He's distanced himself from the Pinnacle. There really isn't, like, a Pinnacle anymore. Like, they're around. Like, they didn't break up. They could always get back together when you decide to turn FTR heel again and shit like that. But right now, like, MJF has one crony. That's it. I would assume he's either going... you have to have Wardlow beat him. I think the last time I podcasted, I talked about maybe having MJF lose to Wardlow at Double or Nothing, but win the ladder match, the Casino Battle Royal ladder match. Like, have him do the whole, like, oh, we injured somebody, we have to put someone else in there, and it's MJF. And then MJF wins it, and he becomes the guy who challenges Punk. And basically, Punk will defend it on Dynamite or whatever, but MJF will always be dogging him. Or you have MJF leave, and you just take him off TV. And then 2 or 3 defenses down the line for Punk, MJF shows up, wipes out Punk, MJF returns, here comes the match, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, with MJF around, it's going to take away from any of the challenge. If they decide to do this and MJF wins, the fact that MJF is one, that's going to take, if you keep him on TV, it's going to take away from it's going to take away from any of his challengers. And that goes against what I was telling you guys before about keeping credible challengers for your champions. So I say you take him off TV. You keep the focus on Punk and him winning and all this shit, and don't even mention MJF. Just be like, MJF's gone. That's pretty much it. Like, and, maybe, like, a week or 2 before he comes back, like, someone asked Mark Sterling, like, yo, MJF won this chip. Where the hell is he? He hasn't been on TV. He's not been boisterous. And then, like, and Mark Sterling says, well, my client has something to say, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, like, you have him fucking jump CM Punk, have the lights go out. It's the return of MJF. He's here to cash in his belt. It's a reckoning. It's going to happen at All Out. That's when you do it. That's when I think. But, What do you call it? I am, but yeah, but Punk has to win it. And I don't think that takes away from Hangman's title reign. Like, yeah, was it the flashiest title reign in the world? No. No, it wasn't. And you know what? Hangman's young. I think he's only 30. And the company's only 3 years old. He'll have another title reign. He'll have another title reign, maybe as as a babyface again, maybe as a heel. Who knows? But he'll have another title reign. He's Hangman. He's gonna be an AEW guy. I don't think he's the guy who's gonna go over to to WWE. Which, to be very honest, the fact that a report came out that that WWE were interested in FTR, I'm like, why? Why? You know, like now what? Now it makes no sense to me. I don't think FTR will ever go back there. I think it's a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me kind of thing. I mean, the booking of Cody is really gonna tell what's going on. I mean, Cody really is the only guy poised to take it from Roman, credibly. Because I don't know. No one else in that company is built up that way. I think Nakamura is challenging Roman right now. Like, really? Nakamura? Like, okay. Like, what has he been doing lately? Aside from fucking just, I don't know, fucking around. Anywho. They do a video clip of Wardlow entering the arena. He's allowed in the arena because he has a scheduled match tonight. But he has to change in a small closet away from everyone in the locker room. And if he's not wrestling, he has to stay handcuffed. So they're really going to milk this whole, MJF Wardlow thing. I honestly hope it ends up in a Wardlow victory. I mean, if you're going to do all this, then just have Wardlow lose after all that. That sucks. You know what I mean? Wardlow should win. You need to start building up credible baby faces. And also, if MJF is going to be a future champion, him fighting Wardlow, this gotta fucking happen. You know what I mean? It's gotta fucking happen. And if you make him a chump now, no one's gonna care about that match in the future. You know what I mean? MGF actually getting that victory over the guy who beat him, who used to be his fucking Virgil. Come on, the storyline's right there. All you have to do is do it. William Regal joins commentary. You have the Blackpool Combat Club beating Dante Martin, Lee Moriarty, and Brock Anderson. I mean, another trios win for them, showcasing them on TV, showing that they're brutal, that they're masters of their domain, all this shit. Cool, man. Cool. Where's the trios belts, dog? You know what I mean? You're going to showcase these guys in trios. You got too many dominant trios. Dude, House of Black versus the Blackpool Combat Club is a fucking trios dream match waiting to happen. Any of those guys versus Death Triangle is a dream match waiting to happen. People, the trios division is stacked beyond all belief. You have Red Dragon and Adam Cole. You have the eventual Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Dude, please. There needs to be fucking trios belts yesterday. All right? 2022 cannot end without there being trios champions. I'm sorry. It has to happen. And if you're looking for something big to end up in the end of the year, because apparently if you follow things in terms of the business, in terms of times where you really want AEW to do very well in the ratings due to contract negotiations and shit like that, you want to have a stacked latter half 2022. And to be honest, MJF is your world champion. And trios champs being whoever the fuck that they end up doing, and having an awesome trios division and having awesome tag champs and all this shit, that's what you want. Latter half of 2022, I want to see MJF as my champ. I want to see FTR holding the ROH, the AAA, and the AEW tag team belts. Have them hold all the belts because they're the best tag team that you have. They're awesome characters. Give them everything. Give them fucking everything. Give them everything. Put every fucking tag belt on them. You know what I mean? Have someone, I don't know, whoever, be a great, TNT champion. You know what I mean? Put your best women's champion out there, your best TBS champion. That's the point. All Out is going to be big because that's when you make your champions that are going to take you into the latter half of that year when you want to do some fucking numbers. And you want to put all those fucking hot matches and hot angles and hot segments, all that shit. All right? So, another victory for them. I mean, it's strange that they paired Dante Martin with Lee Moriarty and Brock Anderson. I mean, like, Dante Martin has a tag team partner. Why are you going to team up with other people? But I like Dante Martin. He's cool. We got Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. And Red Dragon were in the back with Brandon. O'Reilly said, like, they honestly, none of those guys have really been winning anything as of lately. So O'Reilly's saying that he's going to be the one to turn it around because he has a qualifying match in the Owen against Jungle Boy tonight. And basically they want to do like a 10-man tag, an open challenge 10-man tag. So it'll be the Bucks, Red Dragon, and Adam Cole versus another 10-man team. I mean, who else is out there that could put on a good show aside from fucking Dark Order? But to be honest, like, haven't we seen that already? I mean, it would still be a pretty good match, but like, I honestly can't think of another 5-man squad that'd be worth a damn, or worth watching. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. They do a video promo talking about the Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal feud. They had Sanjay Dutt. They had Satnam Singh. Obviously, this is going to be a thing. I assume this will eventually lead to Jay Lethal challenging for the ROH TV title, so we'll see how that goes on his quest to go for the ROH heavyweight title, because he also started beef with Gresham, so we'll see how that happens. Gresham, by the way, retaining the ROH world title against Dalton Castle at Battle of the Belts, which was, I think, a match that they announced after I had recorded, so I didn't even know that match existed until after last week's episode. So solid match, definitely worth checking out, and Dalton Castle's the man. Tonight, the big announcement from Tony Khan. Tony Khan was introduced by Shivani for his big announcement. Khan brings down Takami Obari, which is the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Adam Cole interrupts, and he does the announcement on its own. There will be an event called Forbidden Door. It is going to be an AEW New Japan Super Show. It will be at the United Center in Chicago. He announced that he will be fighting Ishii in an Owen Hart qualifying match. Owen Hart Cup qualifying match. And basically, he said he also had a friend who wanted to say hello. Jay White's music play. He comes out. He said that he basically was the guy who single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden. That, of course, is when they alluded to Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling having the G1 Supercard at MSG. I mean, to be quite honest, we all kind of bought those tickets expecting to see the Bucks and Kenny Omega, which that did not happen. They ended up building AEW around that time. And he basically said that this whole event is for the Undisputed Elite and for the Bullet Club, and it was still their era. I love Jay White. Jay White's the fucking man. If the more we see Jay White, the better. So, I'm curious as to what this card is going to be for the Forbidden Door show. I honestly would have been thinking about taking a trip to Chicago. I wanted to go to this year's All Out, but I mean, it's too soon. The Forbidden Door, it's in June, so that's like 2 months from now. To kind of plan that trip is kind of a pain in the butt. So, but oh man, I would love to go to that show. Are you kidding me? That card must be amazing. I mean, if the smart booking is, okay, number one is, yeah, it's definitely going to sell out. That's number one. Number two, the way you make that sell out, you say that the main event is Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson. I mean, is there any other main event? Is there any other main event? You do that, you do a rematch between Ospreay and Moxley. There's so much shit you could do. Oh my god. You put Darby on that card. Maybe you put Punk on that card. Maybe have Punk fight Tanahashi. Man. But that's gonna be a crazy show. I'm definitely ordering that shit. Party. Anywho. Next, they did a segment with Jade Cargill. She's backstage with Red Velvet, Kiera Hogan, and Mark Sterling. I think her having a stable is perfect. Her calling them the baddies is perfect. Jade Cargill is perfect. This title reign has been great. Because she's been built to be a dominant champion. So, like, you're kind of just expecting her to be fed chumps each week for her to just demolish. And every once in a while, maybe there'll be someone who kind of takes her to her limits, but she still beats them. So, like, I'm all for that. But I'm telling you right now, the person who they end up booking to take that belt from her, you better book the shit out of that woman. You better book the shit out of that woman. I'm talking about serious wins. I mean, maybe it's Chris Statlander. They're, like, repackaging her. She's kind of like... not like she's more of like a serious babyface. Like, I don't know if she's doing anything heelish. I mean, I saw her on Dark and, like, I didn't really feel like that heelish vibe. Oh, Tanahashi versus Guevara might be pretty good. I don't know. Punk versus Okada is a maybe. Listen, you do Danielson versus Okada. Like, that's not even a fucking question. It's Danielson versus Okada. If you're going to put Okada against anybody, that's not Johnny fucking Gargano. You're going to put him against Bryan Danielson. That's it. That's it. That's it. No. Not Punk versus Okada. It's Danielson versus Okada. That's the match. Punk versus Tanahashi, maybe. Punk versus Jay White. That would be a great match. Maybe you do, well, I mean, they're already doing Ishii versus Kingston at the show in Chicago. No, not Chicago. Washington. New Japan is doing something. There's a ton of shit that they could do. It's honestly dream match after dream match. It's one of those cards that you don't even really need to build up any of the matches per se. You could just put on dream match after dream match. Oh, and, like, honestly, like, because they're going to be fighting New Japan guys, like, listen, people, assume they're all going to be New Japan style matches. If New Japan style matches are not the kind of matches you want, I don't watch it, man, because I'm telling you that's not what you're going to get. They're going to go hard New Japan style. Punk versus Kenta would be a good match. Yeah. You know who I miss? Miro. Dude, Gorillas of Destiny versus, Naito versus anybody. Bro, give me a 3-hour pay-per-view. Give me a 3-hour fucking pay-per-view of AEW versus New Japan. Please. Oh my God. Oh, yeah, Naito Andrade. Oh my God. Gorillas of Destiny versus any tag team. Put them against the Bucks. Put them against Red Dragon. Put them against fucking... Oh, my God. Who else? The guy with the doll. Yeah, Miro versus Ishii would be a solid match. Who's the guy with the doll? Oh, we might even get the recently released Kushida. He could be doing shit. I forgot about Kushida. I mean, he's not signed with anybody, but I would assume he would just go back to New Japan. I mean, New Japan needs Kushida. This show is gonna make big things for New Japan. This is the kick in the pants that New Japan needs. I hope that by the time this show is over, crowds are better. Great O'Connor's like, you know? I don't know. Oh, this could give Danielson the opportunity. Yes. Have that. If you make the main event Danielson versus Okada for the IWGP heavyweight title, yes. It's gonna sell out. Anywho, Wardlow versus the Butcher. Wardlow beats the Butcher. Obviously, he got the, his big meaty men slapping meat, which I'm all about. I love my fucking big Haas matches. So, hey, listen, he won. It's just like, but they're gonna do it again. Like, now he's fighting Lance Archer. So he's just gonna fight all these guys until eventually he fights MJF. Whatever. I'm just waiting for them to fight. Let's go. Like, I already see the writing on the wall. If I see the writing on the wall, my interest level plops. You know what I mean? Give me something a little bit different. But, hey, I mean, if the point is to build up that fucking hatred and animosity because MJF is a fucking douchebag and he's putting someone else through this bullshit again, you got me. Because I'm going to pop big when Wardlow wins. If that's the point, you got me. Eddie Kingston addresses Daniel Garcia, they're going to be fighting in this week's Rampage. Everyone from all the stables, everyone's banned from ringside. Let's pray to God that actually works out. Obviously, Eddie Kingston is gonna fucking get his revenge. He's gonna beat Daniel Garcia. He's gonna beat that motherfucker's ass. Owen Hart qualifying match. Kyle O'Reilly defeats Jungle Boy. It was an okay match. I feel like Jungle Boy's style was a little bit weird because like Kyle O'Reilly is more of like a grind you down submission. And it really slows the pace. Like, it makes it really, I feel like it makes it tough for a guy like Jungle Boy, who's really fast paced. A lot of his moves are just like, a lot of it's like lucha, like movement, running around and stuff like that. So, like, it was different seeing Jungle Boy out of that element because it was really more of a Kyle O'Reilly match that had elements of Jungle Boy in it. Hey, Kyle O'Reilly won. He is going on. I mean, listen, like, I would assume that they're going to have him be in fucking clinics and putting on technical wrestling matches. So I'm definitely excited to see how those are, how he's going to play out in the tournament. But the two guys right now in the Owen Hart men's bracket are Kyle O'Reilly and Samoa Joe. Next we have MJF backstage with Shawn Spears. He basically saying that he's a snake, and he obviously hires out a snake. He gives a wad of cash over to Jake the Snake Roberts, who basically, Jake basically rambled and was saying a bunch of bullshit. And Lance Archer just comes and slaps the wad of cash out of his hand. He's like, I'm not in it for money. I just want to fight Wardlow, and if anyone interferes, everybody dies. And that was pretty much it. That was great. So, Wardlow versus, hey, dude, like, have a match, man. Wardlow could have that kind of match. So, we will see. Anywho, Frankie Kazarian was about to call out Sammy Guevara, but Scorpio Sky interrupts, saying he's gonna, he needs to have one more chance, one more match with Sammy before he gets the belt, blah, blah, blah. I honestly thought that they were gonna he was gonna go and he was going to, say, hey, maybe we should go for Tag Gold again, and they were gonna turn him babyface and turn Sammy heel, and that's it. All of a sudden, boom, you get Sky away from American Top Team. You get him away from Ethan Page. You get him away from all those guys. Let Sky go face. Let him go into a tag team. The tag team division, there's no shortage of guys that they can have good matches with. And Frankie and Sky are a good tag team. They were the first AEW champs, tag champs for Christ's sake. So, we'll see. Hook has his debut on Dynamite. Defeats, he defeats some jobber, Anthony Henry, which is fine. In the middle of the match, Danhausen actually tries to curse Hook, but failed. Hook locks in the red one for the rim. Danhausen gets into the ring, grabs a mic, basically said he's had it up to here with Hook. He says, I can't curse you, now I will fight you. Is this the match? Is this going to be, like, Danhausen's, like, first match against Hook? I mean, listen. There's a way to book this where that it makes sense. Technically, unless you're a fan of Danhausen, you haven't seen Danhausen wrestle yet. Obviously, you have Hook beat Danhausen. That's a given. But you use this as an opportunity to show that there's more to Danhausen than him being some freaking creepy, goblin dude with white face paint. You could show that he could go. And to have it against Hook, and you kind of just hint at the fact that Danhausen almost was the guy to take it from Hook. It puts Danhausen over in his own little weird way. He still loses to Hook in the Red Rum. And that's it. Hook still wins. He's over even more because he has a great match with Danhausen. Danhausen is over because he has a good match with Hook. He almost beats Hook, but he ultimately fails because Hook is Hook. And that's it. I think that's how you do it. That's the safest way for everybody. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know if I would make Hook and Danhausen a tag team. I mean, that would be kind of cool. The only reason why I say maybe not is because there's more money in him being in a trio with the Ass Boys, and put them in a trios tournament. And oh man, there's money in that. There's money in that. Danhausen and the Ass Boys. There's money in that trio. Totally. But yeah. Thunder Rosa cuts a video promo saying she continued to fight the best that AEW has to offer. She beats Nyla Rose in a solid match at Battle of the Belts 2. Again, I said this for the men's title, I'll say this for the women's title. Build credible challenges for Thunder Rosa. Don't have her just fight just like random women who really haven't done much of anything. Definitely get her into a good blood feud with somebody, you know, like definitely like have her in a feud where like she could cut a promo, you know what I mean? Like you need her title reign to showcase more than just the fact that she could wrestle anybody. Like we get that, but there's 1,000 baby faces that will have that same attitude. What makes Thunder Rosa different from, you know, the rest of them? It should be the quality of the challengers that she has and the quality of the promo segments that she has. You know what I mean? So, like, put her in a feud with someone who's really going to get underneath her gears and really try and screw her over and really built up to be a conniving threat or a deadly threat. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see those women win on television before they challenge Thunder Rosa. You know what I mean? So, Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky have a segment. I'm fucking sick of these two. I'm going to be quite honest. I didn't watch the promo, so I'm reading a recap piece that I pieced together just from reading what people said online and clips. But like they have such horrible go away heat. Like I just want them to pull the trigger on them being heels so that they could be. And then I just want them to go past American Top Team and Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page and that whole nonsense. Get them away from all of them. That's the only time I want to see Sammy cut a promo. I want to see him be a douche to someone else other than these guys right now. I'm kind of just done with it already. Basically, Sammy's happy to be a 3-time champ. Anyone who doesn't like him and Ty, they could be mad, whatever. Obviously, the heel turn is coming. Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Dan Lambert interrupt. Basically, they said no one came to hear Guevara talking to a mic. The only reason they're not attacking Sammy is because that tonight, in Lambert's case, it's all about business. Lambert demands Guevara gives Sky a rematch. Guevara said the Sky could get his match if they gave Sammy and Tay the mixed tag match. And then as long as they get the mixed tag match, their TNT title match is going to be in a ladder match next week. So there we go. Match for the TNT title. Looks like it's going to be a trilogy between Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara. I just hope that Sammy just beats Scorpio and Scorpio goes face. He's better as a face than as a heel. Or maybe he just wasn't booked good as a heel and he just needs better booking if you're going to make him a heel. Because here's my thing with Scorpio as the champ. He's a boring champ. Like, they didn't do anything for him. The fact that he started, number one, I think the Cody thing really screwed up a lot of things. Like, they gave him the title. They didn't give him the title. Like, what was going on? So, I don't know what was going on. But I think the Cody thing, Cody being the champ. And to be quite honest, just as a quick aside, if you piece together a lot of the interviews that have been going on with Cody and with Tony, it kind of seems like Cody just booked himself into a corner. And he really booked himself into a situation where there's nothing more they could do with him. He can only be a tag champion, a TNT champion, or whatever other titles they end up having. But otherwise, he can never be AEW champion. I think him booking himself into where I'll never challenge for the AEW title again was dumb booking. I think Cody being the potential for Cody being a babyface and like winning the title at a certain point in time when it was well earned, or a point where he was gonna be a mega over heel. He was poised for a mega heel turn, and him being a heel and taking that belt off of Hangman would have been just as enjoyable because everyone wanted Cody to go heel. Him going heel and him going back on his fucking promise and him challenging for the AEW title would have been fucking awesome, but they never did that. So no matter what you say, I think the problem was is they couldn't find any sort of credible booking around the fact that Cody said, I'm never gonna challenge for the belt again, to keep him relevant. He went on the record saying he didn't want to be the 100-time TNT champion. And he said he couldn't be AEW champion. He said he didn't like the fact that he felt like it was too soon for him to be an EVP. There was things he wanted to do with his character that he ended up making dumb calls, and I think around that time, the EVPs had a lot to say in the booking and not Tony, and they allowed him to do that. And I think, honestly, they came to an impasse at the fact that I don't think that Tony was willing to just be like, oh, well, I don't think he was willing to go back on it. He's like, no, you said it, and if we do that, all of our stipulations are going to be for naught, and I think they came to an impasse, and that was pretty much it. So that's my theory on why Cody left. Cody, there was nothing more for him to do. He didn't want to be an EVP at this point in his career, and he booked himself into a corner not saying that he could never challenge for the title. And that was pretty much it. There was literally nothing here for him. You want to know why? The first thing he went and did in fucking WWE after having a match at WrestleMania was challenged for the main belt. So come on. The writing's on the wall. House of Black, there's a video promo. They're feuding with Fuego del Sol. Who the fuck cares? It's fucking Fuego del Sol. If this doesn't lead to anything, like, I don't give a shit. They're going to go and they're going to kill him next week. Hooray. The sooner they could kill him and get into some trios feuds and start winning trios titles, the better. Baker was accompanied by 2 members of the Pittsburgh Steelers in her match against Danielle Kamala, and she won. Duh. In front of her hometown crowd, where she was mega over as a babyface. So there you go. And honestly, come on, you're going to have a tournament without Britt Baker? Get the fuck out of here. You're definitely going to have a women's... You're not going to have an AEW women's tournament and not have your biggest star out there. So yeah, definitely Britt Baker is going to be involved in that. Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida video promo aired. It looks like they're going to fight and do a Philly Street fight, so that's going to be on Rampage. Unless they're in Philly again next week, but I think it's Rampage. No. It's next week in Philly. Oh, yeah, that's right, because they were in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, it makes sense. They're going to be in Philly next week. Okay. So, Rampage lineup for this week. Owen Hart Cup qualifier. Adam Cole versus Tomohiro Ishii. That's going to be a banger match. TBS champion Jade Cargill is going to be fighting Marina Shafir for the title. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland have an interview scheduled. Lance Archer fights Serpentico in another way to try and build up someone to fight Wardlow. Eddie Kingston versus Daniel Garcia, which should be a great match. Women's Cup qualifiers. Jamie Hayter, Tony Storm, and Britt Baker are all going to be interviewed by Shivani, so that should be very interesting. Storm has a issue with Baker. I'm sorry, Hayter has an issue with Baker. Storm and Hayter have been kind of at each other, so very interesting dynamic going into that. And we already know that Hayter and Storm are going to be fighting to get against each other in the first round. That's the only bracket match that's been made, so we'll see how that goes. Lineup for Dynamite for next week is the Philly Street fight between Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb. That should be a good match. Wardlow versus Lance Archer. That should be solid. Big meaty men slapping meat. You know, that's what I'm all about. TNT Championship ladder match. Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky. I mean, it's going to be a great match. Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky in the ladder match is going to be bonkers. I'm curious as to see who's going to win. Whatever. Oh, here we go. The 10-man tag. It's going to be Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, and Red Dragon versus, yep, guess a bunch of jobbers. Varsity Blondes, Dante Martin, Lee Johnson, and Brock Anderson. So they're going to squash this group, and that's going to be a little, yeah, we're all together and we're on the same page, blah, blah, blah. Or I don't know, maybe Kenny Omega comes back. Who knows? Last match of the night, the coffin match between Darby Allin and Andrade. Basically, Andrade started the match, duffing him with the skateboard. And then all of a sudden, freaking Blade came out, and then Sting came out, and everyone was brawling, and Sting jumped from the rafters. Well, not really jumped. I think Alvarez is totally right. He just kind of falls from high places and lands on people. So, Sting got his moment. It's a typical Darby match where everything gets crazy, and Sting comes in and no-sells everything and destroys everybody. It was fun. I honestly was kind of hoping for more of a straightforward wrestling match between these guys. I guess we had it already in the other match, but, excuse me, still, fatigued from the Rona. Basically, it was just another crazy Darby match. They had thumbtacks inside the door of the coffin, which I thought was pretty dope. End of the match, obviously, Darby wins. The Hardys come out to celebrate with Sting and Darby. Sting and Darby are undefeated as a tag team. So are the Hardys. I definitely think that that's a match that could be set up for a pay-per-view, putting two undefeated teams together and having them duke it out. I think Sammy and Darby are a good match against the Hardys. Darby could do and take all those crazy bumps. The same thing with Hardy. I think Matt and Sting would go well together because, Matt really can't move as much anymore and you want to protect Sting, so that's more of his pace. So they could definitely do a lot of crazy shit. I think if you're going to build up an eventual match between the Hardys and the Bucks, you kind of want to put the Hardys over in this instance. I mean, Sting and Darby is Sting and Darby. If they're going to take a loss from anybody, you take it against the Hardys, that's not too bad. I say that protects both teams. But that's where I see it going. But yeah, that is pretty much tonight's show in a nutshell. Gave you my thoughts on some of the comings and goings in the wrestling world, my thoughts on the future of the booking at AEW. A lot of exciting stuff coming. I'm curious to see how this Forbidden Door pay-per-view shapes up. I'm definitely looking forward to it because I can only imagine dream match after dream match after dream match being a part of that show. So very exciting stuff. But thank you guys in the chat. You guys were super active tonight. Thank you. Thank you to Josh. Thank you to Doom. Thank you to Richie. Process, good to have you back, brother. I'm glad that you're well. Welcome back, my friend. There's really not anything too crazy going on in the wrestling world this weekend. Honestly, I should stop trying to say that I'm gonna do 2 episodes in a week. I should just stick to the Wednesday night episodes. Those are my love, and I love reviewing Dynamite and talking with you guys. So till we meet again next Wednesday,